What if you decided not to sleep for the next 100 hours? It sounds like a challenge, maybe even a superpower. But what you're actually doing is starting a countdown to a complete system failure. Your brain, your body, your very sense of self, they're all on the line. The clock starts now, hour zero. For the first few hours, you might feel fine, even productive. You power through your day, fueled by caffeine and sheer willpower. But as the sun sets and rises again, you cross a critical threshold. You've now been awake for 24 hours straight, and the first cracks in your foundation are beginning to show. The gamble has begun, and the stakes are higher than you could ever imagine. The initial effects are subtle, almost deceptive. You might feel a bit tired, maybe a little irritable. You've pulled all-nighters before, right? But underneath the surface, your brain is already struggling. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, planning, and self-control, is one of the first regions to go offline. This is why, after just one night of no sleep, your judgment becomes impaired. You're more likely to make risky decisions and your emotional control starts to weaken. It's the equivalent of having a blood alcohol level of 0.10%, which is legally drunk in many countries. You are, quite literally, thinking under the influence of exhaustion. Physically, your body is screaming for rest. Your immune system response is already suppressed, making you more vulnerable to getting sick. Levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, begin to spike, putting your body in a constant state of high alert. This is a survival mechanism gone wrong. Your body thinks it's in danger, so it pumps out adrenaline to keep you going, but this artificial energy comes at a cost. Your muscles ache, your reaction times slow down, and fine motor skills become clumsy. You might notice your hands shaking slightly or your vision becoming a little blurry. This is your body's emergency alert system, and it's just getting started. This 24-hour mark is where most people tap out, and for good reason. It's a biological warning sign. Studies have shown that after just 24 hours without sleep, your ability to form new memories plummets. The hippocampus, a key structure for learning and memory, relies on sleep to consolidate information from the day. Without that process, your short-term memories struggle to become long-term ones. It's like trying to save a file on a computer with a full hard drive. The information simply has nowhere to go. You are awake, but you are no longer learning effectively. The first day is over, but the real test is just beginning. Hours, you are losing that battle. 72 hours, 3 days and 3 nights without a moment of sleep. You have now entered a state of profound psychosis. The concept of time becomes fluid and meaningless. Was it morning or evening? Did that conversation happen 5 minutes ago or 5 hours ago? Your brain can no longer reliably track the passage of time. This is no longer just about being tired, it's about a complete breakdown of your cognitive architecture. At this point, your brain is operating at a fraction of its normal capacity, and the person you were 72 hours ago is gone, replaced by a confused, paranoid, and disoriented stranger. The world is no longer a stable, predictable place. Hallucinations are no longer a subtle possibility, they are a vivid and terrifying reality. Your brain, desperate for the dream state it has been denied, begins to dream while you are awake. This is known as REM intrusion. You might see insects crawling on the walls, have conversations with people who aren't there, or feel tactile sensations that have no physical source. This is what makes prolonged sleep deprivation so dangerous. You lose the ability to distinguish between what is real and what is a product of your exhausted mind. Your reality becomes a waking nightmare, a constant stream of bizarre and often frightening sensory experiences that you cannot escape. Physically, your body is on the verge of collapse. Your core body temperature begins to drop, and your blood pressure becomes erratic. The risk of a major cardiac event increases significantly. Your immune system is almost completely non-functional. In one study, the activity of natural killer cells, a vital part of the immune response that fights off viruses and tumors, dropped by more than 70% after just one night of poor sleep. After 3 nights, your defenses are virtually non-existent. Your muscles tremble uncontrollably, and your coordination is so poor that standing or walking becomes a difficult and hazardous task. This is the point where famous sleep deprivation experiments, like the one conducted on radio DJ Peter Tripp in 1959, turned into horror shows. Tripp, who stayed awake for 201 hours in a glass booth in Times Square, became paranoid and abusive. He accused scientists of trying to poison him and believed he was someone else entirely. His brainwave patterns began to resemble those of someone in REM sleep, even though he was awake. He was, for all intents and purposes, living inside his own dream. At 72 hours, you are no longer an observer of your own mind, you are a prisoner within it. 100 hours. You've crossed a threshold that few humans have ever dared to approach. At this point, you are standing on the precipice of total neurological and physiological collapse. The concept of a cohesive self has disintegrated. You are no longer capable of complex thought, rational decision-making, or even forming a coherent sentence. Your identity has been shattered by exhaustion. The person who started this challenge is a distant memory, a ghost from a different lifetime. You are now a collection of frayed nerve endings and misfiring synapses, operating on the most primitive survival instincts. The experiment has reached its terrifying conclusion. The mental state at 100 hours is best described as a complete detachment from reality. Randy Gardner, who famously stayed awake for 264 hours, 11 days, in 1964 as a high school science fair project, experienced this firsthand. By the end, he was unable to complete simple cognitive tests and suffered from severe paranoia and hallucinations. He believed a street sign was a person, and thought a radio host was trying to make a fool of him. His brain was no longer processing the world, it was creating a new, terrifying one. This is the endpoint of sleep deprivation, a total loss of the mind. Physically, the body is shutting down. The strain on the cardiovascular system is immense, and the risk of organ failure becomes a distinct possibility. While it's extremely rare for a human to die directly from sleep deprivation alone, usually a fatal accident occurs first, animal studies are conclusive. In experiments where rats were continuously deprived of sleep, they all died within a few weeks. Their bodies simply could not sustain basic functions without the restorative processes that happen during sleep. At 100 hours, you are pushing your biological systems far beyond their designed limits, into a red zone from which recovery will be long and difficult. The ultimate lesson from this harrowing journey is undeniable. Sleep is not a luxury. It is not a passive state of inactivity or a waste of time. Sleep is a fundamental biological imperative, as essential for our survival as air, water, and food. It is the process by which our brains clean themselves, consolidate memories, regulate emotions, and repair our bodies. Pushing its limits is not a display of strength but a dangerous flirtation with cognitive and physical ruin. The shocking truth about surviving 100 hours without sleep is that you don't really survive it at all. A part of you breaks, and the long road back to normalcy is a stark reminder that we are all bound by the non-negotiable need to rest.